I can't remember, was there anything left over from before tea where we said, we need some caffeine to tackle that one, or not?
Boredom and love. You mentioned them, I think you were going to say more about boredom and love. I can't remember if you had.
Was I? I was going to say more about boredom and love.
Yeah. Maybe you did.
I think I did, probably. Does it?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were an awful lot of things you said you'd come back to later, but who knows what they were.
Yeah.
Did I?
At the very beginning, doesn't matter.
No, you mean, I meant, did I come back to them?
No idea.
Can I ask more
I bet there was a might in there, but I might come back to that
Can I
later.
ask more about boredom?
Yeah, why not? And then
Because
can-
we talked about it disguising it as a, what was the word for the other, frustration, or the other emotions were secondary.
yeah, so it's a kind of...
Pseudos.
Yes, it's a sort of, boredom, it's almost like beyond a pseudo feeling, isn't it? It's like a flattening of everything, yeah.
Is it running away from any type of feeling?
I think I don't want to go deeply here into this as a sort of an amateur psychologist theorising about boredom, but I think it's a kind of, like depression. You know, I mean, boredom and depression in a way aren't really feelings. I mean, they can feel like feelings, I'm well aware of that, but they're not in a way actually feelings in themselves. They're like what happens, I think, you know, when other feelings have been repressed for long enough. For all the energy to just go, so like in depression all the energy's gone inwards, and in boredom it's like all the energy's gone so flat that what? The thing is, you see, when this is seen, this is the point at which I tell the story I seem to tell every time about the ant crawling over the twig, which is an anecdote Tony tells. So all the energy in boredom has gone, in a way. When that's no longer present, it's like a complete mystery. What could that have possibly been about? Because even the tiniest thing can be so fascinating. So Tony tells this story of somebody who rang him, you know, there'd been an awakening, and he rang Tony and said that, you know, it's amazing, I've been sitting outside for half an hour watching an ant crawl over a twig. You see, in the busy, busy mind, particularly if the busy, busy mind thinks it's got something very important to do, you know, like save the planet or usher in the socialist revolution or whatever it is. You know, the busy, busy mind is like, really, like, what? What? But it's a kind of, again, I might regret saying this phrase later, but it's kind of like, it's like a natural meditation. Just looking at an ant crawling over a twig for half an hour. Well, why not? I mean, fascinating. And I'm not sure if it was this that I did a talk with Dawn in Brighton last month, and I'm not sure if it was the same thing that you know, brought this up. I think it may have been. I'm having deja vu now, which, you know, considering the past doesn't exist, it's a pretty weird experience. But there's a deja vu thing going on here about the ant crawling over the twig, and I think I told that story in Brighton in a time that of course never happened and didn't exist. And I mean, I can see that if I go on in this vein I could end up being torn to pieces by an angry mob in here, really pissing them off. But it brought to mind, here there has been a new, absolutely devouring, fascinating interest in life has overtaken me from nowhere. I don't know where it came from, but I'm absolutely gripped with this passion now. It sort of fills my waking hours, and it's houseplants. And I don't know, I mean, I used to keep houseplants and they were lovely, but they were just houseplants. Now I have houseplants and it's like a passion. You know, I mean, they don't do a lot. Which may be why it's a passion, because they don't do a lot. So they're just there and I'm just there. And it's like ants crawl over twigs, houseplants don't even do that. They just sit there, absolutely fascinating. So there's something about that I hear people say. The thing, I mean, I've communicated with so many people about this over the years, you know, people where, you know, there have been awakenings. And some of the things that stand out, that's one of them. You know, how people become fascinated with small, tiny things which are almost not happening at all. Another, I think I've already mentioned, depression gone, boredom gone. Those are some of the things that kind of stand out, rather than flashing lights and dancing angels and multi-level interplanetary consciousness and blah-de-blah-de-blah. More simplicity seems to be a hallmark. More simplicity. If I ever feel like torturing myself, which unaccountably I sometimes do, I go onto YouTube and I watch people talking about their elaborate theories of consciousness, for example, or their elaborate theories about new cosmologies that will explain everything and do explain everything.
Is there an urge for doing, Tony?
Let me finish this thought, and don't forget that thought, but let me finish this thought, because it was going off into two directions there. It was very difficult for this mind to even follow one direction, let alone two. Yeah, I mean, I go on, I occasionally decide, I haven't had enough torture this month, I'm going to watch some YouTube of somebody with, some transpersonal cosmology that explains everything about the universe and da-da-da. I used to hang out with the hippies of West Wales quite a lot, so I've come across a lot of people who are developing their kind of own cosmologies about how everything in the universe works and it all fits into one blah 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 endless blah and so forth. I've totally lost track of where this is going. It's just what the mind, what the mind fills itself up with, what the mind that doesn't exist, the monkey mind, what it finds, how it keeps the story going. It's about that, it's how the mind keeps the story going. I mean, in a way, I know there's a paradox in what I'm going to say. As long as the mind is keeping this story going, there can't be the simple seeing of this. Now, I know the paradox is that the mind keeping the story going is also this. It's also this, but it's a very complex form of this. So as long as the mind is keeping the story going with whatever it is, cosmologies or gods or whatever it might be, evolutionary enlightenment's very popular, whatever it might be, as long as the mind's keeping the story going, there can't be the seeing of the simplicity of this. So one thing I think we can guarantee is that when there is a noticing of the ant crawling across the twig for half an hour, or a noticing of the leaf on the pot plant, it doesn't matter. When that's happening, there isn't the creation of some elaborate theoretical cosmology that explains everything in the universe. Because actually everything in the universe is a complete mystery and way beyond explanation. And when I say everything in the universe, I don't just mean the galaxies and the stars and da-da-da-da-da. I mean that. Just the fact that a hand can, just that manifestation. It doesn't get much simpler than that. That's beyond explanation. I am asserting. It's beyond explanation. At which point I'll turn to you and say, can you remember what you were about to raise?
Is there an urge for doing?
Yeah, there may be. Yeah, absolutely there may be. Yeah. Yeah, there's certainly an urge to get down to the coffee bar in the morning. Yeah, why not? Yeah. Yeah. There can be, if we look at the stories that are built up around spiritual seeking and this dreadful term enlightenment and things like that, some of those stories can very much be about the desirability of not doing. But I can't remember where we covered this already before tea. Try not doing. Try not doing. I was going to say it's impossible. Well, it's not impossible, of course. You know, as L. Ron Hubbard said, bring me a revolver and I'll liberate anybody. If L. Ron Hubbard shot you through the head, there wouldn't be any more doing. But as long as there's apparent life happening, there's doing. So, you know, there's a technical term for this. It belongs, you know, in this category. The technical term is crap spiritual ideas. You shouldn't do, just sit, just don't do. See, you did just then. You know, you can't just not do it. You see? You failed that test within 2.7 seconds, your head nodded. So another crap spiritual idea that somehow not doing is a higher state than doing. And then for a different personality, you'll have the opposite story, which is that, you know, you've got to be doing because there's so much to be done. So why aren't you saving the planet? Why are you sitting here in this complete waste of time, nonsensical meeting about non-duality crap when you could be saving the planet? That's the kind of opposite. Meanwhile, whatever's happening is happening. And that I'm prepared to stake my life on is an absolute rule. There aren't many rules, but that's an absolute rule. What's happening is happening. No exceptions. Never a single exception to that. What's happening is happening. I don't know whether that's an incredibly deep or a staggeringly banal thing to say, but whichever it is, it's true. What's happening is happening. This hand just moved.
I like to think I can change what's happening.
Yeah, so that's what's happening. What's happening is a feeling or a thought comes up, I like to change. I'd like to think I can change what's happening. Yeah. Join the club. Yeah. I'd say that's one of the favourite pastimes of people. Trying to change what's happening. Liking to do that. Believing that we've done it. Yeah, it's all good stuff. Meanwhile, everything goes on being exactly what it is.
Meanwhile, what?
Meanwhile, everything goes on being exactly what it is. And it's staggeringly obvious, really, to say, and it cannot be any other way. But one of the things that most keeps the sort of sense of me, the identity of me going, is, you know, what you referred to as that kind of thought, feeling, belief, whatever you want to call it, some kind of combination of all of that sensation that I can do something about this. I am a person and I can do something about this, whatever that might be. Now I know that that can be heard, well, I'm not quite sure if the right word is nihilistically, but people do accuse me and other speakers of being nihilistic. It's got nothing to do with nihilism, but I can see the confusion. You know, that can be heard as suggesting there is a helpless person there. That is a complete mishearing. It's very understandable why that mishearing can arise, but it's a total misunderstanding. There is no suggestion whatsoever here that there is a powerless or helpless person. here or there? How can there be a powerless or helpless person here when there is no person here or there? So what is there? I don't think we kind of, I use this term often, but I don't think we've used it today so far. So what is there? What's here? A character, if you like. There's a character, you know, say hello to the character. Here's a character. If you like, you know, here is oneness pretending to be Richard. There's oneness pretending to be Tony. There's oneness pretending to be James. There's oneness pretending to be a flaw.
Is it pretending or is it being? That's just semantics.
It's semantics. It's an image, so
It's an image.
whatever fits for you. It's pretending to be, it's appearing as, it is being that, you know. Yeah. I mean, a favourite term is appearance. This is, you know, it's appearing as a flaw, it's appearing as a James. Oneness may be appearing as a Richard who believes that he's separate from oneness, or not.